Welcome back to Starting Out. I have previously made a promise on one of my videos to actually share with you some of the stories of some of life's most fun experiences as I came up with, well, in one of the videos I talked about the titles that have accumulated over time, but most of those titles have come from experiences that have been so awesome, so mind-blowing, so eye-opening that I just would like to share them with you on days like this. So if you haven't already, kindly subscribe to this channel for more content on starting out and more fun stories. So the story I am going to share with you today is the story of UGMUN, or Uganda Model United Nations, which was held at the International School of Uganda, and I was privileged to attend in 2017, 2018 and 2019. 3 years in a row that really changed my perspective on things. Yes, so in 2017, of course, we were introduced to the concept in school. We applied to join. We read up on parliamentary procedure and how things work in the UN and how we're going to be, let's say, modeling the United Nations. So yeah, it really seemed like a lot of pressure the first time. So on the first day we came to ISU, all dressed up in suits and all kinds of professional dressing and attire. So when we did go there, I had crammed all the tips in the parliamentary procedure book, the whole manual, everything. But the first day was actually one where we had to listen to interesting personalities, people whom some of us knew, some of us didn't. But it was the United Nations coordinator for Uganda and a few individuals who had also organized it, because the International School of Uganda sort of brought it to Uganda because I think they had actually been flying out for other Model United Nations conferences and thought they would share them with us. This sounded so amazing, and on my first day, after listening to all this, entering the room and seeing people exchanging on points of information and things like that, I was in the rhythm. So I wanted to keep a low profile and first understand what goes on around here, but my luck had run out because my country was Angola, and there was no other country starting with A. So Angola, I was the first person at the front. Luckily I wasn't the first person presenting the resolution, but now, interestingly enough, our chair in the environmental committee was a 15-year-old lady who is pretty inspirational. I actually haven't talked to her in some time, but I would love to know if she watches this video. She was an amazing chair, and her co-chairs were actually older, but she managed it pretty well. Now, coming to the learning experiences and the fun that we had in the Model United Nations, that's when I learned about a process called fracking, a process in which sort of through drilling of oil wells, it creates seismic activity, continuous earthquakes and stuff like that. I actually did not know that drilling of oil wells would lead to that, and I didn't know it was called fracking. So that was the learning experience. Now, there were the fun experiences. Of course, there was an icebreaker where you play a few games to loosen up so that you don't feel like this is a very highly academic thing and you're at gunpoint to be perfect and stuff like that. But this time around, every single break that we would have, of course, we would go out and meet friends from other schools, and actually that's where I got a mind shift, a sort of they call it a paradigm shift. Actually, yes, a paradigm shift about students in international schools. Later on, I actually read in Outliers, the story of success, that there is a special touch they do have to life. While I was there, as I said in the video of Thinking Different, that sometimes when you think so big, when you are so young, you are maybe scorned a bit, perhaps laughed at. But when I sat down with these people at the Model United Nations from these different schools, Taiba, the International School of Uganda, Kampala International School of Uganda, Vienna, different schools actually. And we had a couple of conversations on world affairs. First of all, yes, they did pay attention a lot to what I was saying and also added valid points on what we were talking about. And this was a casual conversation over lunch, talking about things that I would consider so much above our level at the time, or at least things that are not so much talked about by people our age. But it was such a fruitful conversation, and I walked away with contacts, and I felt, wow, these are people whom I can have fun with, yes, but also talk big things, dream big things, and act on them. Another interesting experience was, of course, seeing that people from international schools are of different races, ethnicity. It was a beautiful cultural exchange to actually believe that, yes, we can actually have conversations like these, yet we are from different countries, perhaps of origin, but then, of course, they live in Uganda. And the experiences they had to share were so awesome. Actually, that was my first year of the Model United Nations, and there was the award ceremony where, of course, the best chair is recognized, the best delegate is recognized. So I thought to myself, wow, it would be pretty good to be the best delegate in the environmental committee. So the second year comes, and I'm the delegate of New Zealand. Now, one beautiful thing about the Model United Nations is so for so long you talk about the country that you are a delegate of. And in parliamentary procedure, you're not exactly supposed to say your name. So it actually becomes, your country becomes your name. So many people in 2018, I believe, the year I was New Zealand, call me New Zealand. I call them things like Peru. I call them Laos Republic. That was another country I did not know until I went to the Model United Nations. Laos Republic. I think I'm going to have to check again where exactly it is. But second year was really, really intense because the first year you've got a bit of an experience, you know how the program runs. You don't need to read up so much, or at least actually there you have more pressure to read more, but then not that you're going to reproduce all the information, but when you're giving a point of information, when you are perhaps merging resolutions, let's say it becomes a little more fluid in how you're doing it. So that was my second year at the Model United Nations. Of course, we went for the award ceremony, and I thought to myself, if I wasn't the best delegate this time, then I had two options. Either I would go for a third year, which would be my last year, and try and be the best, or I could level up a notch and apply to be a chair. So the award ceremony does come, and yay, somebody else becomes the best delegate in the environmental committee. So I sat down with a couple of my friends and thought, which option should I take? Actually, the second year was when I brought my best friend along, and he actually enjoyed the experience so much. We had so much team interaction with a couple of people, and we walked out with a number of contacts that we still have right now. I'm sure some of you are going to respond in the comments that you were with us in this particular session of Model United Nations. So my third year comes, it's my final year in school, of course, and our calendar is different from how the international system is. So actually, I write an email to apply for senior chair. There's junior chair and senior chair. I was moving from delegate to senior chair. Wow. But I decided that I would apply for senior chair because it was my final year and I had 2 years experience with the Model United Nations. So I received the email that I was actually allowed to enter and be the senior chair a few weeks into my examination period. So I did not see it until later, and I had to confirm later on. I was a bit nervous, wondering if I would be, accepted to become the senior chair, but it actually did happen. I sent in some of the documents they wanted. So we go for our final year, senior chair. My junior chair was, I don't know whether to say, she was a bit new to it as well. The environmental committee wasn't one of the most popular because there was human rights and political committee and health So, and economics, those ones needed so much knowledge. So people who are coming the first time would always go environmental. I know anything environmental that needs to be known. Health, yeah, you can come up with a few things here and there and you'll be okay. So I've suddenly found myself having to make the decision of, okay, which resolution goes first, and guide my junior chair, and she also gave me a couple of very nice feedback. I was pretty impressed. So in this particular time, I decided if I'm not going to be the best chair, if I'm not going to be the best delegate, at least I'll be the best person that I can be. So what we did was I made a target, and by the end of our time as chairs, we had done 10 resolutions in 2 days, which was pretty impressive because I don't remember anybody else doing that. So that was pretty much my experience in the Model United Nations. Wasn't that a very fun story? Actually, reminiscing on it always puts a very big smile on my face. It's a good journey that I had with my best friend for 2 years. I had come the first year without him. So actually, there are so many details I'm sure I've left out that I would actually have to have a one-on-one to tell the different people whom I do meet with time. But it changed my perspective on a number of things. It got me to open up to different perspectives, to different kinds of people, and it's an experience I really love remembering. So that's the story of my Model United Nations journey in Uganda. I hope you enjoyed it, and for more stories like this, like this video, share, subscribe, and let's continue reminiscing on so many things, thinking about how on our journey of starting out. There are things we've done before, there's what we're doing now, and there's so much more we want to do in the future. Starting out.